Second round rookies are reshaping the contract landscape, and cornerback Trey Amos is now part of a league-wide standoff that goes way beyond Washington. That and more right now on Locked On Commanders.
You are Locked On Commanders, your daily podcast on the Washington Commanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This is Locked On Commanders. I am David Harrison, your guy on the ground covering the Washington Commanders, doing it for you here 5 days a week, but also doing it for WUSA9.com and CommanderGameDay.com and part of Sports Illustrated. I want to thank you for making Locked On Commanders your first listen or view today and every day. And whether you're an everydayer or you're just passing through, thank you to you for coming for this episode. To the everydayers, those of you who make this a part of your daily routine, a special thank you goes out to all of you. And if anybody out there has not already, please subscribe for free on YouTube or wherever you are listening. If it's your first time here, thanks for finding us. Hopefully you like what you hear and you come back again very, very soon. Coming up on today's episode, we're going to discuss Art Monk's long overdue jersey retirement and what Washington might do if Terry McLaurin holds out of training camp. But first, why second round rookies like Trey Amos are driving a contract standoff that's threatening to reshape the entire NFL operating procedure. All of that is coming up on today's episode of Locked On Commanders, a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. This second round contract standoff is not just about Trey Amos, cornerback out of Ole Miss, Washington Commanders, second round pick, number 61 overall. It is about agents. It's about guaranteed money. And it's about a rookie pay system that the rookies are looking to take control of. The rookie pay scale was really put in place because the owners and the teams wanted to take control of ever-expanding rookie contracts. They were sick of paying rookies all-pro caliber money when the guys had not played a single NFL down. Well, now this generation of rookies is turning the tables, taking control of the rookie pay scale as much as they can. And it's bringing up some very interesting conversations. Today's mailbag episode, Dr. Wonderful, insider Dr. Wonderful came through and said something seems to be up with contract negotiations this year, either for vets or rookies. What is amiss? And that answer is not a simple, singular answer. But we're going to go one by one here. We're going to start with the second round picks. So Trey Amos, cornerback out of Ole Miss, is one of these players. The Houston Texans, some background on this, right? So Trey Amos has yet to sign his rookie deal. Let's give some full context here. But he's not alone. As of the time of this recording, 30 of the 32 second-round picks in the 2025 NFL Draft have not signed their rookie deals, and as of right now, cannot participate in training camp because you have to be under contract to participate in training camp. The only one, I believe, that the only camp that is currently active, so the only player that is officially a holdout right now is wide receiver Trey Harris, also from Ole Miss, who was drafted by the Los Angeles Chargers and did not report for training camp. So this whole thing kind of started, at least this year, we'll get into more details, when the Houston Texans, shortly after the 2025 NFL Draft was concluded, signed second-round pick wide receiver Jaden Higgins out of Iowa State to a fully guaranteed contract. It was the first fully guaranteed contract given to a non-first-round rookie in NFL history. While the rookie wage scale locks in the rookie contract's ceiling, everything else basically between there, including guarantees, pay accelerations, bonuses, thing like that, can be negotiated to a certain extent. Everything else, like I said, is up for negotiation, including how much is bonuses, how much is guaranteed salary, et cetera, et cetera. Usually the bonuses get paid out in the first 12 months. So as a player, if you get a nice fat bonus in your contract, you get a good amount of money right up front, even if that means you have less guaranteed money overall. That's typically how these owners and these GMs like to do this. So I'm going to give some credit for some deep diving here. Jeff Eisenberg of Yahoo Sports did a really great job diving into this stuff recently. So a lot of what we're going to share here and discuss was kind of done by him from a research standpoint. So Higgins, his contract triggered what is now being called a league-wide standoff. Agents for all those other second-round picks and those players, the other second-round picks, they now want fully guaranteed deals or at least more guaranteed money than you would typically see in a second-round picks contract. Now, NFL teams, as expected or predicted, are being reluctant to do this. They're pushing back because they don't want to set the precedent within their franchise or help set this precedent league-wide that second round picks get fully guaranteed contracts. The day after Jaden Higgins got his fully guaranteed deal from the Houston Texans, the Cleveland Browns gave a fully guaranteed deal to linebacker Carson Schwessinger out of UCLA, furthering this desire for second-round picks to get fully guaranteed contracts. Schwessinger was the 33rd overall pick, first pick of the second round, and Higgins was the 34th overall pick, second pick of the second round. So that's where a lot of people push back. They're like, okay, but you're the first two picks in the second round. As you get deeper into the second round, you're not going to get the fully guaranteed deal. You can't be expecting to get the fully guaranteed deal. And while that's true, this is really all about the evolution of contracts in the NFL. Eisenberg pointed out that it wasn't until 2022 that every first-round pick in an NFL draft got fully guaranteed contracts. Nowadays, it's pretty much the norm. You get picked in the first round, your entire first contract is going to be fully guaranteed. The second-round pick drama really started last year. Bills wide receiver Keon Coleman, 33rd overall pick in the 2024 NFL draft, got a 95.7% guaranteed deal from the Buffalo Bills. The 64th overall pick, Renardo Green of the San Francisco 49ers, got a 52.4% guaranteed deal. Again, that according to Eisenberg. So if you're taken at 61 and last year's 64th overall pick got a 52.4% guaranteed deal, then probably pretty reasonable if you're Trey Amos and his representatives that you're coming into the year looking to say, I want to get a 60% fully guaranteed deal because inflation is the way we do things. More on that here in just a second. So if you're Trey Amos and you're asking for 60% of your rookie contract fully guaranteed, then you would be looking for about $4.37 million guaranteed of your $7.3 million rookie wage scale ceiling. Beyond that, how much of that is salary, how much of that is bonus is another negotiating point. Now, Eisenberg speculates that two players, Saints quarterback Tyler Shuck and Browns running back Quinshon Judkins, are going to be the two central figures remaining to get the dominoes tipping. I agree on Shuck. I don't really agree on Judkins. Here's why. Shuck could be the starting quarterback in New Orleans. As weird as that is to say, second-round quarterback could be the starting quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. So if he gets a fully guaranteed deal at pick number 40, even though he's going to be quarterback, even though he's a starter, basically picks 34 through 39, if you're the team, you're the GM, you kind of lose all your leverage because, yeah, Tyler Shuck's quarterback. Yeah, he's going to be a starter. But you know what? He hasn't played a snap either, and neither have I. Guarantee all my money. So that kind of knocks those dominoes down. Now, if 40 is 100% guaranteed, pick 5 is not going to want to go below, say, 90% guaranteed, or pick 5. Pick 50 is not going to want to go below, say, 90% guaranteed, if they're even willing to go down to 90%. 60 then, if pick 50 gets 10% less of pick 40 guaranteed, then pick 60s and be like, okay, well, I'll take 10% less too. Now you're talking 80%. If Trey Amos gets 80% of his contract guaranteed, that number is $5.82 million, a difference of $1.5 million guaranteed. So is that amount of money worth delaying signing your rookie contract a little bit, putting some pressure on the team to get you on the field a little bit? Yeah, I'd do it. $1.5 million. That is life-changing money. Remember, these college players have not made NFL money yet. Now, some of them have made NIL money, sure, but this is a little bit different. So that's why we're seeing this correction. Now, Judkins was arrested on domestic violence charges, so the Browns certainly have more leverage on him now than these other picks do. And the theory is that, if they only pay him 33% guaranteed money, whatever it is, then that kind of resets the market for the rest of the dominoes. I don't necessarily agree, because if that happens and a team says, well, Judkins only got 40% of his contract guaranteed, every player's going to say, yeah, but my guy didn't get arrested, right? Like that's so I don't really agree with that standpoint. According to an over the cap study that Eisenberg quoted, only 62% of second-round picks stayed with their drafted teams through the 4 years, their full rookie schedule or rookie contract length. So paying a fully guaranteed contract basically sets an NFL team up with about a 38% chance of paying a player that does not see the end of their rookie contract with that team. That's where teams are going to have a problem here. Now, that's where offset language can come in, something that we've all seen in contract negotiations in the past as well. So why is all this happening? Well, honestly, it's happening because of inflation economics and NIL. Agents are going to continue to ask for more because the norm has now become every new deal inflates the market. And right now, when these players come into the NFL because of NILs, they're more business savvy. They've got more business experience, and they're less willing to give some things without receiving in return. Related to this, the Broncos signed their first-round pick on Wednesday, Jahdae Barron, and that leaves just Shamar Stewart as the lone first-round pick unsigned. And there's reports that Stewart has been practicing with Texas A&M's football team and appears to be willing to return to school to re-enter the NFL draft in 2026. So he'll play for Texas A&M in 2025 and then re-enter the 2026 NFL draft. Leverage is really the key here because teams don't have the leverage when it comes to these first and second round picks. We'll dive into that more coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Commanders, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And we're doing that today thanks to our friends over at FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing, whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action. FanDuel is the best way to make every game more exciting. You're already tracking the headlines, rookie standoffs, veteran holdouts, training camp buzz. Why not make your nights just as thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game with your friends while they're out sweating 100-degree temperatures on the beach. And even if you want to be out there in that 100-degree temperatures with your friends, do so while also maximizing your time. I've been using FanDuel to ride the wave of off-field NFL drama right into on-field action, whether it's late-inning baseball or building a same-game parlay around my favorite players. The app keeps it fast, easy, and fun. Even regular season games feel like the stakes are just a little bit higher. If you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. So open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. Just like contract season, timing is everything, so don't wait. Continuing now to look at our contract situation here in the National Football League, and we're only through part of the rookies. Talked about the second rounders. Now we're kind of into the first rounders, why this whole thing is happening. So like I said, Shamar Stewart is now the only first round rookie holding out of his contract. And the reports are that he's left Cincinnati. He's been practicing with the Texas A&M football team. And it looks like he's prepared to return to Texas A&M, play football for them in 2025, and go back in the NFL draft in 2026. How that fits in the rules, I'm going to be honest with you, that's not a rule stipulation that I'm really comfortable with or familiar with, but those are the reports that we're reading out there. So leverage is really what this is all about. Teams don't have the leverage when it comes to the rookies. You might think they should because these rookies haven't played a single down. But here's the thing. Teams have already invested in these players. You've already spent a first or second round pick on these players. And you know more than anybody, you need to get them reps on the field as quickly as possible. So the players are putting pressures on the team by saying, you've already invested in me. Now you're going to give me what I want because you invested in me. The coaches are putting pressure on the front office because we need this guy on the practice field as soon as possible, or else this isn't going to work. So the front office is getting it from every single angle. Meanwhile, the player has the option apparently to go back to school, collect more NIL money, most likely, especially as a player that turned down the NFL to come back to school. And then this time you get selected by a team. And listen, if you go to the 2026 NFL draft as one of these players, the team that drafted you or drafted you in 2026 is going to kind of understand what they're getting themselves into and understand that you're not a guy who's coming in here looking for, cheap contracts or team-friendly contracts and all that stuff. Or they're going to be like, well, we're smarter than you. We'll out-talk you this time. And they're going to actually be dumb. Now, the question for me really comes to this. Would you rather guarantee Trey Amos' contract and potentially only have him for 2 or 3 years and pay him for 1 or 2 years beyond the time you have him? Or would you rather lose a second-round pick that you don't get back in any way, shape, or form and you get Trey Amos for no games at all? The answer to that question tells you what you think the Washington Commanders should do with Trey Amos. So in that case, the leverage largely rests with the players. In the case of Terry McLaurin, the leverage is all with the team. So follow-up question to our first question, Michael said, what does a franchise tag on Terry McLaurin look like and what are the implications if it's used? Well, Terry McLaurin is under contract for 2025. It's the last year of his last extension. So likely there's no guarantees left in this contract or very little guarantees left in his contract, which means if he doesn't play, he's going to get fined and he's going to make no money. So it's all money out of the bank. There's nothing coming in to replace it. If he does play and he does well, then the team can either come to the negotiating table and talk to him about a 2-3 year deal, or they can franchise tag him. According to Over the Cap, a 2026 projected franchise tag for a wide receiver would be $28.086 million. So if Terry McLaurin wants over $30 million, he's literally asking the Commanders to outbid themselves, at least when it comes to 2026. Now in 2027, he's going to be turning 32 in September of that season, meaning that there's almost no way this team is going to pay him over $60 million on a 2-year extension. Because remember, that 2-year extension would not be 2025. It would be 2026, 2027. You're talking about paying him $30 million as a 31-year-old and a 32-year-old when he's going to turn 31. He'll turn 32 in 2027, et cetera, et cetera. The only leverage he can use really is public opinion, which is exactly what he's doing. That only works, though, if the ownership cares about what the public is saying and if the GM cares about what the public is saying. The GM is not going to care unless the owner cares. And right now, the ownership, they're looking pretty good. Like they're getting pretty high marks across the board. So I don't know that the ownership is necessarily worried about fans wanting the team to sign Terry McLaurin faster, media wanting the team to sign Terry McLaurin faster or extend him, I should say. So right now, none of this contract stuff is singularly funneling towards chaos, but at every level, it's kind of headed there, and it just so happens to be happening all at the same time. So what if Terry McLaurin holds out or gets moved? The Commanders don't just lose a wide receiver, they lose their offensive anchor, and there's no perfect replacement waiting, at least at the receiver position. So primary question to this topic here is Mark. Insider Mark said, hypothetically, without McLaurin, or if he's traded, do you see Washington going after Keenan Allen or trading for another wide receiver? I don't see a trade option out there, and I don't like to speculate like, oh, I'd trade Terry McLaurin to the Miami Dolphins for Jalen Waddle. All right, do the Miami Dolphins want to trade Jalen Waddle, right? So I don't like doing that kind of stuff. So if we get reports that a team is shopping another receiver, and I'm like, hey, maybe that's a Terry McLaurin swap, then we'll talk about it. Until then, I'm going to talk about free agents because free agents are there. So we went to True Media and drawing from receiver data over the course of the past 3 seasons among the available pool of free agent receivers, the most Terry McLaurin-like in production, let me say that again, the most Terry McLaurin-like in production is Amari Cooper, who's 31 years old, strong yardage, 18 touchdowns over the last 3 years, 135 first downs, lower catch rate than Terry McLaurin, but he's got excellent separation and route running skills. Matthew Berry of ESPN, however, has reported that an offensive coach on a former team of Amari Cooper's said, quote unquote, he's done. All right. What that means, you take that for yourself. The next closest free agent in production would be Keenan Allen, who Mark mentions. Keenan Allen is just over 33 years old right now. High volume target with great hands, 67.8% catch rate is very good. Less explosive than McLaurin, but extremely reliable as a veteran. Third, Tyler Boyd, 30.7 years old. So he's about to be 31. Slot heavy wide receiver with a high catch rate, 69.2%, and efficient usage, lower yardage, but a strong possession receiver. Fourth would be Nelson Aguilar, just over 32 years old, smaller role, but definitely some efficiency there, some deep threat similarity as well. Fifth would be Allen Robinson, who's about to turn 32, declining physically, but production profile still loosely matches McLaurin's rates and route volume. Robinson turns 32 in August and is reportedly mulling retirement, so he may not even want to play. So really, we have 3 players. We have 5 players. One is reportedly done, whatever that means. Another one is mulling retirement. So really, we have 3 options. And of those 3 options, Keenan Allen is the best, quote unquote, overall replacement. Why? Because he's got volume, wide receiver 1 experience, 244 catches, 360 yards, 360 targets, 2,700 yards, 18 touchdowns in the last 3 years. Elite catch rate, 67.8%. Consistent first down production, still runs really good routes, wins from the boundary, wins from the slot. Most similar to McLaurin in usage and his leadership profile, though I don't know that the Commanders would necessarily be worried about the leadership loss. To be quite honest with you, there's a lot of leaders in that locker room right now, and the more mature Jaden Daniels gets, the more they want Jaden Daniels being the leader on the offense anyway. Some concerns. He's over 33. He's had an injury history, missed time in 2023 and 2024. But again, if you're a free agent at the end of July, there's a reason for it. Likely is going to want more money than any other guys on this list, but he is the best short-term on-field match if the Commanders want to replace Terry McLaurin's impact immediately. Second up would be Tyler Boyd. He's probably the most scheme consistent of the 3 options and most affordable fit with that combination. Great possession receiver with a high catch rate, low drop rate, 89 first downs on just 164 catches. So it shows he's a very highly efficient chain mover, experienced in a spread offense with multiple playmakers. So he would fit well in that type of scheme. You're not worried about his ego too much. Very low, like I said, very affordable, low ego. Doesn't really stretch the field, doesn't really create after the catch. Strictly a wide receiver 2-3 type of guy, doesn't really have wide receiver 1 upside. He's the best role fit if McLaurin leaves, and the team then promotes Deebo Samuel to being kind of your primary wide receiver weapon, which brings up a whole other skill set of concerns and everything else by itself. Nelson Aguilar would be last, least likely to replace McLaurin. Honestly, it's 1 or 2. It's Tyler Boyd or Keenan Allen for me. The rest of them are just kind of not there because of either their mentality or, like I said, the offensive coach saying that Amari Cooper is, quote unquote, done. It's significant. Follow-up question from Hamadou says, Insider Hamadou said, if Terry holds out or it holds in for training camp, how much could that affect his production or his health in season? So from this standpoint, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not super worried until we get into August, truthfully. Any new wrinkles to the offense aren't going to be ones that affect how Terry plays, right? His role is pretty much solidified. It's more so going to be about what's happening around him. And you certainly want him out there for it, but you're not worried about him not learning a new role, right, on the offense. He says he's working hard. I have no reason not to believe him because I've never had a reason not to believe Terry when he says these things. I think 10 days into training camp, that's where we kind of start to get worried because you get into the you can't replace football reps type of scenario, right? While the future wide receiver feels uncertain, one franchise legend in a receiver is finally getting the recognition he's always deserved. That's coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Commanders, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Art Monk's jersey retirement took way too long, but with the new ownership and a fan base hungry for reconnecting with the franchise's history, it just feels right. And it doesn't just feel right to me. It feels right to Art Monk himself. Art Monk's number 81 jersey will be retired officially on November 2nd at home, Northwest Stadium against the Seattle Seahawks in primetime. You'll have your throwback Super Bowl era alternate uniforms. And I think you're going to have a very psyched up, energized Washington Commanders fan base. The Washington Commanders are a good team. They should be doing well, barring any unforeseen setbacks. And look, this event isn't just about legacy. It's about reconnecting. It's the first time they're going to be unveiling the Super Bowl era uniforms. So you're bringing on a legend that helped make the uniform that is inspiring this alternate uniform famous in the first place, made it such a household item. And you have a guy that basically just embodies the culture the Washington Commanders are trying to reestablish: humility, teamwork. Art Monk, we spoke to him on Wednesday via Zoom, and Art told us that he was completely surprised. Former teammates joined in with the surprise. Josh Harris, the team's managing partner, Mark Klaus, the team president, all went down to his house in Florida to surprise him. Monk said, quote, shocked, excited, all of those kinds of feelings at the same time, end quote. Didn't expect it. Even now, said it, quote, unquote, took him off guard. Always played for the love of the game, didn't play for the attention, didn't play for the accolades. But you know what? Those are the kinds of guys that you love seeing get the accolades and get the attention even more because they don't want it, right? Or they don't want to say they want it, but that's not what they do it for. Art Monk said that, he agrees that even though it took a while, having it happen now actually kind of makes it mean a little bit more. He said, quote, usually you get your honors when you first retire, but to continue to be remembered and acknowledged years later, it's special, end quote. So even though he's been in the Hall of Fame, he's been all these things, Art Monk says that the timing of it feels right, and he's honored by it. Monk said it's more meaningful now that it's been decades, not just a formality right after his retirement. And the ownership shifts the focus on things. Gary Clark in the video said, quote, unquote, this is a moment that's been a long time coming. Josh Harris said, quote, you were my first call when I bought the franchise, end quote. Gotta be honest with you. If I bought the Washington Commanders, Art Monk would definitely be one of my first calls as well, if not my first. I think Joe Gibbs would probably be my first, but Art Monk certainly would be up there, as would Doug Williams and all those guys. Legacy beyond stats, retired as the NFL's all-time leading receiver in receptions, 940 of them, of course. That has been eclipsed since then, but he's still top 25 all time as it stands today. Was the first receiver to hit 100-plus catches in a Super Bowl era season. But what mattered the most to him was the locker room. He called his rookie year the most memorable year of his career because how everybody welcomed him and just the experience, the excitement of being an NFL player. Speaking of that, talk about the number 81. How did he get it? They gave it to him. He wore number 45 in Syracuse, arrived to Washington. They handed him 81. Didn't even ask if 45 was available. He was just so excited to be on an NFL team. He just took whatever number they gave him. And guess what? That number is now legendary. He praised Coach Gibbs, of course, for his professionalism, how he used Monk all over the formation, even as a running back sometimes. Monk also talked about that fan connection, the cultural impact, talked about how he felt at home in the DMV, stayed year-round, didn't go back to New York where he's from because fans, the organization, it just made him feel comfortable. It made him feel welcome, and he just didn't want to leave. Mentioned that it's humbling now. I asked him directly. He said, people who watched you play, watch the posse, the fun bunch, obviously they love you. Obviously they share memories of you. But I know Commanders fans who never got to see Art Monk play in person who still talk about Art Monk like he's one of their favorite players. He said that it's just really humbling. And it meant you could tell, like, kind of took him back. Like, he literally, when I asked him the question, he started off saying, wow. Like, it really took him back to know that you, Commanders fans, still to this day, just carry him as one of the top players in your hearts and minds and in this franchise. He said, quote, I guess we did all the right things when we played this game, end quote. He certainly did. I've told you guys this before. I've never hidden from this. I don't have a favorite NFL team growing up. I didn't have like one favorite NFL team. I was a fan of players. And Art Monk was absolutely one of those players. Like, truthfully, I was more of an Art Monk fan than I was a Jerry Rice fan. And I'm not going to sit here and say like he's a better receiver than Jerry Rice. That's a topic for a different day. But I was more of an Art Monk fan growing up than I was a Jerry Rice fan. Just like I was more of a Ricky Watters fan growing up than I was some other running backs that were, considered better overall. November 2nd, again, it's the jersey ceremony. So if you're going to be at that game, you're in for a treat, man. Don't leave at halftime. Stay in your seat. Soak it all in. It's super cool to see these things happen. Darryl Green last year. I mean, there's more to come. It's a cultural bridge, man. It brings old legends, new direction. If you're an old timer fan of this team and you got a son, a daughter, a brother, a sister, just a fan who's younger and didn't get to see the Art Monk days, if you can afford it, if you can get the time, if you can get the tickets, man, bring them. Connect that bridge, right? Connect to the old times, to the new times. New ownership doing things that the old regime didn't. But you know what? I'm glad, man. I'm glad we get to see Art Monk have his jersey retired in this situation with these alternate uniforms, with this team playing football. It's going to be a lot of fun. Art Monk didn't need the moment to be validated, but you know what? Now that it's here, the franchise get to say what we've always known. Number 81 is iconic. It's legendary, and it deserves to be retired. And even Art himself, who's never stood in the spotlight, never looked for the spotlight, said, you know what? I'm going to accept this and I'm going to take it in and I'm going to face it. I'm not going to hide from it. He's like, I'm going to take it. Really great talking to Art Monk. I do plan on dropping the entirety of that Zoom interview here on the channel towards the end of the week. So if you want to see that in its entirety, I'll be able to provide that for you. From contract standoffs to legacy celebrations, this team is feeling pressure from every direction, past, present, and future. Training camp is coming fast, and the Commanders still have some big decisions to make. That's going to do it for today's episode. Next time on Locked On Commanders, we're going to dive into the Locked On NFL Top 100 to see where the Commanders landed and whether or not they're too high or too low. In the meantime, if you got questions or comments, you can text me directly by becoming a Locked On Commanders insider at joinsubtext.com/LockedOnCommanders. While everyone's focused on contract drama and who's showing up to training camp, the real conversation about who's earned league-wide respect. The Locked On NFL Top 100 dropped this morning, Wednesday morning, on Locked On Sports Today, voted on by the hosts who cover these players every single day. There are some surprises and a few Commanders you'll definitely want to keep an eye on. So watch it now on YouTube or listen wherever you get your podcast. To the everydayers, I see you every day. I appreciate you every day, and I thank you today. Until next time, stay safe, be good to one another. We'll talk again real soon right here on Locked On Commanders, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.